Hello guys, welcome to another video here, Chats with Courier. So today I will be covering continuation order blocks. So today we traded NFP and I traded using a continuation order block. So basically when I'm talking about continuation order blocks, I'm talking about when price is already moving in a certain direction and you did not catch the move from the top or from the bottom of it. So and you want to participate in that move. So in such a situation, what you do is you look for a continuation order block, and basically that's what I will be talking about in this video. So stay tuned, it will be a short video. Let's get into it. All right. So let me just resize this so that I do not take up the whole space. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, so let's get into it. Go to trading view real quick. Okay, so I will look at DXY, gold and silver as usual. So let's begin with the DXY. So on the daily chart, this is what we actually had. So remember, as I am doing this has already played out as I am doing this trade breakdown, but it had not played out as it has right now. So what we had earlier in the morning was these two highs right here. We had this and we had this Wednesday high that had closed right there. And then yesterday we had on Thursday, which was a pre-NFP day. As usual, I do not trade that. So on the pre-NFP day, we had that sweep of the previous day low and a rebalancing of this new day opening gap, and then price retraced back inside. So basically it was a sweep of liquidity, rebalancing an imbalance, and then we went back inside. So if you are in my Telegram channel, you notice that I mentioned we had these relative equal highs or a very weak break of structure. So I called it a weak break of structure because you can see this is the high that it was supposed to break to call it a break of structure, and it did not break it with a lot of power. So you can see that it was relatively equal to the previous high, the previous week high, which was Thursday's high. So that was basically just a weak break of structure. So I just labeled it, I decided to label it as a weak BOS or relative equal highs. So that's what we had. Let's do it. So as usual, this is correlation, so relative equal highs or a break of structure. So of course, if we have that, I want to see price on the 4-hour chart. I want to see price going back to the downside and then coming to target that high and breaking it to the upside. So let's look at the 4-hour chart. So on the 4-hour chart, you can see we had the same thing. It did not really break that high. So I was just putting it as a relative equal highs, and as soon as I see a relative equal high, my next move always and always is to target that as my next draw on liquidity. So what I did was, and you remember when I posted in my group, all of this had not occurred. Okay, so we had this intermediate low, which I marked as my sell side liquidity, and then that was my sell side liquidity, and that is what we used to mark our, that is my sell side liquidity. So yes, this was my sell side liquidity. I wanted it to get swept and then we would target the relative equal highs on DXY. So of course, if I want to see DXY rallying to the upside, so if I am looking for DXY to rally to the upside, so let's write that as DXY. If I want to see DXY going to the upside, I want to see gold rallying to the downside. All right, so that is the science of correlated assets. If you want to see DXY going to the upside, you want to see gold going to the downside. And of course, we do not trade the dollar index, we trade gold and silver. So of course I was going to short on gold and silver if it gave me that entry. Okay, if it confirmed the same thing. So let's leave that aside, and maybe I should just show you real quick how I had done what. So let me just add an image just to show you how I had given the analysis for that trade, and I think it was here. Let's see. DXY before it played out. So yes, this was how I had anticipated it to play out. So as you can see, we had the sell side liquidity marked out, the relative equal highs are just, and you can see my arrow is pointing that I want it to go lower, sweep that liquidity, and then pump to the upside. Okay, so let's just hide that for now and continue with the other part. So where were we? And I hope my image is not hiding any parts from the chart. Okay, so let's go back to trading view and continue with the analysis. So when came back to, don't know why that screen is not loading. So now let's look at gold. The same thing as usual. This is top-down analysis. Remember that. Always do your analysis from the top going to the downside. Okay, so of course we'll start from the daily, and on the daily, something that I noticed is, so I think you can remember this analysis from last time. We had this SMT, this liquidity sweep. You can remember that one. I did another video, so you can check that. So from this piece of price action right here, what can you notice? That is the first thing that I will ask you, because as you're coming in, you want to look at the last 3 or 4 days of the week, or whatever day you're coming in. So what I noticed is that yesterday on Thursday we swept Wednesday's high, and then price was able to retrace back inside that range. So of course, bearing in mind that I was bearish for the whole week, so this is a very good sign for NFP. So I wanted to see NFP continue with the displacement to the downside, of course. And then what were my targets? My target to start with was this previous week low. Okay, so this was a previous week low which was resting at 43.66, and then lower I had 43.43, which is the midpoint of this new week opening gap. And why? Some people might be asking why. That is only because this is an imbalance, and a midpoint of an imbalance can be used as your target to as your draw on liquidity. So of course that those two are my targets going into the day. So I have noticed we had that sweep. So I look at silver to see what it has done on the daily, and I noticed immediately that on silver, so this is silver, let me just delete this. So this is the SMT from that we used to frame our setup on Tuesday. So on silver, I notice that again, I come to the last 3 days, okay, and I noticed that yesterday on Thursday on silver we were not able to sweep that high, the previous day high. Okay, so what does that become? It becomes a very powerful SMT because it's a daily SMT. Okay, so that becomes a daily SMT, and that means only one thing: if I can get a confirmation after NFP has dropped, I can look for shorts to the downside. Okay, and that is why you will notice that on the analysis that I sent on my Telegram channels. Let me just share that. Let me share that real quick. So you will notice that I shared the same thing before it happened, and or maybe let's just do the 4 hour, and then I can show you what I shared on my Telegram. So let's do the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, so this is the daily chart. I have already identified an SMT, so let's label that as an SMT. We have a lower low on the daily chart and a higher high. We have a lower high on silver and a higher high on gold. So that becomes a very good condition to look for shorts after the manipulation. Okay, right. So this is an SMT which we will mark, of course. That becomes our SMT. And then now we can go to the 4 hour. Remember, we are done with DXY, so we are just looking for we're just now doing our chart work on gold and silver, and then we can wait for NFP to drop. Okay, so we are assuming that this has not played out yet. All right, I did all of this in the morning during the London session, the London Open, so that I could be at peace and just wait for NFP to drop, and then I will catch my move. So when I came to the 4 hour, I actually noticed that the entry was already ready. Okay. In what sense? This is the last up close candle that swept the previous day high. Okay, so this is a previous day high which becomes a key level. So a key level has been swept. Okay, and we have already traded against that bullish candle, so that becomes a 4 hour change in state of delivery. So I marked that as my 4 hour change in state of delivery. And so if it was not on an NFP day, I would have taken this entry as early as London session today. Okay, because you can see this is Friday 1 a.m. So we already had that change in state of delivery to the downside. So if it was not on NFP day, I would have taken that entry there and placed my stop loss at 45.23. But because it's NFP and the rules clearly state, my rules clearly state that I do not take any trades before NFP drops. Why? Because we have very high chances of manipulation. I could have easily taken this trade here, and then we would have manipulated to this previous day high to sweep it and then gone back to the downside. But you can see that the entry was already uh, confirmed on the 4 hour change in state by the time we were opening for the London kill zone. So okay, so let's go down to the now let's go to silver and see if we had the same thing. Okay, so going into silver, you will notice that we also had the same thing happening. The change in state had been confirmed. This is the last up close candle in this part of price action. So this becomes a 4 hour order block, or the level which will form our 4 hour change in state of delivery. So this is a 4 hour order block, and look what happened during NFP. No, this is not NFP. Okay, so this is our 4 hour CISD change in state of delivery, and you can see that after this displacement to the downside today during the London kill zone, the London open kill zone at 2 a.m., between 2 to 5 a.m., we had that retest to that area. So as I keep saying, if it was not NFP day, I would have taken that trade right there and placed my stop loss just above the previous day high and maybe target the same thing that I was targeting. Okay? So sorry. Okay, back to gold. So as soon as I got this, now all I had to do was wait for NFP to drop. Okay, so waiting for NFP to drop, let's go to the 1 hour chart so that we can look at what happened during the NFP hour. So NFP comes in at 8:30. So 8:30 will come in between 8 and 9. So on the 1 hour candle, we are looking at the 8 a.m. candle, and this is the 8 a.m. candle. So a lot of you now this is where the game comes in. Okay, a lot of you think that because we have already displaced how many pips, let's just see, let's talk numbers. We had already displaced almost 650 candles during the NFP hour. Okay, and most of you thought that the move is over, and maybe most of you started chasing that price, but no, that is where our continuation order blocks come in. That is where our continuation order blocks come in. So once you see this displacement to the downside, you do not panic, you just wait. Of course, price will give you a continuation order block. Of course, price will give you a retracement. Price does not move in a straight line. Okay, price does not move in a straight line. Never. Price never moves in a straight line. So of course we will get this, we will get this, we will get this, get this, and this, and this, and this. Okay, so okay, in this case to the downside. So soon as I saw this and it was the NFP hour, I just waited for the 8:30 chaos and all that to go on and happen just the way it's supposed to be. And then I went to the 5 minute. So before I went to the 5 minute, I noticed that the hourly candle had closed below this one. So this is another break of structure. We have closed below these lows. So now I am sure that price wants to keep on displacing to the downside. Okay, so that's a market structure shift, a break of structure. It's just so many things in that. So I just went to the 5 minute chart during the 9 a.m. open. Okay, so now we are at the 9 a.m. open, and look at something look at this. Look at this. Can it get any better? Can it get any better than this? continuation order block right here. So look at the timing. This is 9 a.m. sharp. We get 3 consecutive 5-minute candles to the upside. 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one starts dropping. So soon as this starts to drop, I place my uh, uh, a horizontal line right there. So that becomes the level that I want to see a candle closure below. So soon as we got that at 9:25. So look at the timing. Look at the timing. Remember what I've always mentioned. We have 8:30, we have 9:30, we have the 7 a.m. open. So those are very critical times. So look at this. This is 9:25. What happens at 9:30? A retest. A retest to where? The the level that formed the 5-minute change in state. So let's just label it so that it becomes easier to spot. 5 minutes here is D. So this is 9:30, a very critical time in price action if you're trading USD pairs. So in New York time, this is a very critical time, and we got that closure at 9:25. It becomes a 5-minute change in state of delivery, and then we get this retest to the upside. Okay, now this retest is your entry, and like I said, you can always enter here just after it closes because you're not sure if it will give you a retest. Okay, so that is what I did. That is exactly what we did with my team, and place your stop loss just above the continuation order block high. Okay, because this is our order block. So of course you give it some breathing space. So this is 44.21. I give it around 40-50 pips or 20 to 50 pips. So 45, 25, 40, something like that. And then what were my targets? What were my targets? I have talked about this. I have talked about this so many times this week. My target was I had several targets. We had this low, and then we had this new week opening gap. Okay, that was from the previous month, I think, or something like that. I'm not sure, but those were my targets. So back to the 5 minute, and look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the risk to reward. So the risk to reward was at 3R, but I was willing to get off at the premium side. So I was just targeting something at 2.5R, and that will be enough for me. So that is what we did. And maybe I should show you the what I wanted to show you the screenshot that I had sent before. Before, where is it? Let me change. Before all of this played out, so you guys can see. Yes, exactly. Let me change. So this is it. This isn't this the same thing that I have explained. We have an SMT breaking to the high, and then a 4-hour change in state that was already ready. And you can see my arrow. Where is my arrow pointing? My arrow is pointing at the new week opening gap that is marked in a I don't know which color is that, but there is a rectangle just below that low, and that was my target. Okay, so you can see this was before, and then this was after it has played out. And my entry today was a continuation order block, and it's one of my favorite entries these days, and you should probably learn how to use it. And yeah, so that is how we got over, let's see, how many pips. That is how we got over zero drawdown, by the way, over 500. Yeah, over 500 full TP at the midpoint 43.44. The signal was shared to my VIP team and my mentorship students. If you're interested in joining that, you just inbox me for more details, and so forth and so forth. Thank you for listening to the video. That's it. I'm done for the week. 3 trades, 2 wins, 1 loss. The 2 wins were on gold. I have done a video recap on each one of them. I did the first one on SP500, the loss, and then we got 2 wins today, and maybe the other one was on Wednesday. Yes, we won a trade on gold on Wednesday, and then today on NFP, and then we had lost a trade on Tuesday. Just a substantial loss, which I explained, and in the video I explained how you can cut your losses very quickly. So that is how I used continuation order blocks. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one, guys. Have a great weekend, by the way.